John G. Pennington, George Kell Motor Company, always a pleasure, my friend.
Pleasure to see you too. Hey, you just took a ride in that little canyon that I just bought. What do you think about that truck?
Well, listen, I'm just telling you, I just rode in what I thought, not for just a small truck, but for any vehicle. State of the art, nice, incredibly comfortable, ride and drive like a big car.
Yeah, isn't it nice? Yeah.
Quiet, just exceptional.
Well, you're a car guy, and you sold a lot of S10s and Sonomas
Yes.
and all that, and I had one of those other models too, but I want you to ride in it. It's pretty phenomenal. I want everybody to come by. We don't have very many of them because we're just now getting in, but come by and drive my truck. Just David and I went around the block, but come by and drive my Canyon Crew Cab 4-wheel drive. You will like it.
Let me say this. There's not a small truck, it's not a small truck anymore either, but it's smaller than a big size. There's not a pickup truck on the market at any brand, and I don't care where they're made, that is as good or nice a truck as that truck is right there. That's the best one that I have ever been in. I've been in all of them.
I know
I've been in all of them. Best one I've ever been in.
We went to Little Rock and did a comparison with some of the other ones, some Toyotas and Nissans and other ones, and that truck that I'm driving is by far an exceptional truck compared to the other. The other ones are a little lighter, they're a little tinny, they're a little bit less truck, but if you're looking for a truck that's quiet, nice, now mine happens to have navigation and heated leather and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to get all that if you don't want it.
Yeah, you do.
But if you want to, get it. I'm getting about 26 miles a gallon. I've been to Little Rock and back and Jonesboro and back, and I'm getting right about 26 miles a gallon. It's got a 305 horsepower engine. It'll run when you need it to, but it's quiet. And what they've done, David, they've taken the full-size new body style truck and they just shrunk it down a little.
Yeah.
It's not a different car anymore. It's just like the big truck, but it's a little smaller. Triple insulated doors. Got all the underneath insulation and quiet and all that. It's just a great little truck, and as short as I am, I can reach and get stuff out of the back. That's a plus.
Hey, I do.
And it still has the steps and the bumper if you need it, and I do.
That is right.
Made for me.
Always a great pleasure to visit with John Pennington here. Remember when program we're going to visit with Bob McCollum coming up, the barber here for been barbering for well over 50 years, but we got to talk cars first. And John, there's no doubt, I think one of the keys for me as an old car guy and as a shopper of a vehicle, you open the door and then you shut the door and just tell me how it sounds. That's one of my good tests. Shut the door. Shut those doors of any other truck and then shut this GM right here and you'll go, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Just shutting the door.
It's tight. It's airtight. Yeah, it's good.
Yes, sir.
It's good.
You guys have been busy at George Kell Motor Company. I mean, y'all have had a tremendous year. You're taking care of folks not only in Newport, Jackson County, Northeast Arkansas, but I mean literally around the country.
I've got an old buddy of mine, Tom Walzonia. He's from Jonesboro, and I've sold him 3 or 4, and he called the other day and he said, Johnny, it's Tom. I said, what's up, brother? He said, all I want to say is this. I wouldn't buy another vehicle from anybody else in the world. He said, I just got off the phone. You didn't even see me. I was in and out of your shop, had a little problem. Russell and those guys got me knocked in, got knocked out. If I was over in Jonesboro, it'd take me 2 weeks to get in, and it'd probably take all day to get it done. I won't even think about buying a car anywhere else.
Incredible.
He said, and it's not you that's doing it, Pennington. You ain't that good at looking. He said, you're okay too, but he said, the guys in the back are making it happen. I said, well, I agree with you. We got the best there is. And that's one thing I've always said. You can buy a car anywhere for about the same price.
Sure.
All these new cars, we all got the same rebates. We got the same cost. But when you go around looking at who services their customers better than us, they don't exist. I went to Jonesboro day before yesterday to handle an affair with my dad, and I was sitting over on Matthews, and I counted 7 George Kell Motor Company vehicles go by when I was sitting waiting on a deal to happen. 7.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I saw some of the other people too, but I saw 7.
Yes, right.
And when we were sitting, I said, hey, Dad, that George Kell sticker. Hey, there goes another George Kell sticker.
Yes, sir.
And it's because those guys in the back do a great job. If you're looking for something, we want to help you, and then we'll help you after you get it. We've got some great used cars right now.
The inventory looks good, clean.
Well, it's good. But golly, these cars are so cheap. These 14 old body style Impalas with 10 or 12,000 miles, $33,000 cars, you can buy them for $18,000, $19,000. Full warranties.
Yeah.
If you want one with leather, it might cost you another $1,000 or something. Chevrolet Cruises, you can get them for $17,000 to $18,000. They're 2014s, got all the warranty.
Just like new.
Just like new ones. Just like new, except you don't have to pay the new price. But boy, if you're looking for a high gas mileage, low insurance kind of cost of a car, Impalas, Cruises. We've also got some others we bought. There's some people who like the foreign cars.
Sure.
We've got some Nissan Rogues. We've got some little Nissan cars, some Altimas, Toyota cars and stuff. We got a crew cab Toyota Tacoma that we traded for. If you like those kind of cars, good for you. We sell them too. So come see us. Main thing is we want a shot at your business, because if you do business with us and you ever have a problem or need service, that'll seal the deal, David. I've never seen anything like it. I hear it all the time. Those guys in the back, the Ronnie Cornwells and excuse me, Russell Berg and Scott Cooper, all those guys back in the back do a phenomenal job. Dave McAllister, man, they treat customers like family, and that's what we want you to be, as a member of our family at George Kell Motors. Try us, you'll like us, and we want to thank you too for your business this last year. We want to wish each and every one of you a blessed Christmas holiday. Remember the reason for the season, and come see us. If you can't get here before the first of the year, we'll be around here. God bless all of you, and thank you for your business.
John G., nobody could say it any better than you, my friend. Number 64 in my program and number 1 in my heart. Old Newport Greyhound John
Still
G.
undefeated.
Undefeated at George Kell Motor Company in Newport. Jackson's Funeral Home and the Jackson family have been serving our friends and neighbors in Jackson County during some of the most difficult times of their lives for nearly 60 years. As the third generation of this family to own and operate Jackson's Funeral Homes, Jan, Rhett, and Jerry consider it the highest honor to be chosen to care for you and your family during times of need. We believe the highest standard of care is achieved when people are given the tools needed to make the most informed decision for the benefit of their family. For us, there's no greater honor than to care for our friends and our neighbors in their time of need. The Jackson's Funeral Homes, the 1900 block of Malcolm Avenue in Newport, phone number 870-523-5822.
Hey everybody, I'm Bud Black and welcome to another edition of Remember When here on Cable 15 TV and on our website at cable15tv.com. You can get us on Facebook and YouTube also, easily accessible, and we appreciate all the folks who have talked to us about seeing our program on those avenues. Many of you know this fellow right over here. This is Mr. Bob McCollum. Bob the Barber, as I call him, and I'll tell you why here in just a minute. Hello, Robert. How are you, sir?
Bud.
Good to have you on the program, sir.
Thank you.
And I asked Bob to be here, and he said, "Bud, well, I'm going to talk about it." And I said, if there's anybody that knows anything going on, the barber in a small community is the guy that knows about it. And we welcome him to our program. And as we always get started, those of you that are regular viewers to our program, our first question is always, where were you born and when were you born?
8th of July, 1935 at Cabot, Arkansas.
Cabot, Arkansas.
Cabot, Arkansas.
Grow up in Cabot?
No, my family moved to Woodruff County when I was just a baby, and I was raised up in Woodruff County.
And, all right. Well, where in Woodruff County exactly?
We lived about halfway between Patterson and Grays, Arkansas.
Oh, you were in the big city.
Big time, you bet. I started school in Patterson. You hear people talk about having to walk a mile or two to school, uphill all the way. Mm-hmm. Well, it wasn't uphill, but I had to walk. And I went to school 4 years at Patterson, and then I went to McCrory. But that was kind of a thing to remember starting at Patterson. It was just a small school. It was first through the 6th grades. We had one teacher.
Did it all.
And the one teacher did it all. She would start her morning with the 1st grade. She would spend so much time with the 1st grade, the 2nd grade, and the 3rd grade, it was recess.
Was it a one-room schoolhouse?
One-room schoolhouse. Okay. Six rows, 6 grades.
Isn't that something?
And she would come back after recess, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, and it was lunchtime then. And then after lunch, you'd come back with the same thing. No cafeteria, no water fountains. We had a pump outside. You pumped your water. They even had a water bucket in the school in the back. If you wanted a drink, you go back there and you get the dipper, you get you a drink. Can you imagine that today?
Boy, oh boy. I mean, and, you're coming out of the height of the Depression and the World War II, yeah.
All the kids, you carried your lunch, a little sack lunch, and at lunchtime they'd gather around and, excuse me, eat lunch and visit and all that. And one of the stories that used to go around was this one kid didn't bring his lunch, and every day when it was time to go eat lunch, he would go get his sack and he would go somewhere and he wouldn't associate with the other kids. This one boy thought, he has got something really good in that sack. You know?
Doesn't want to share it.
He don't want to share it, you know. So he decided that tomorrow I'll go get his sack before he gets out there to it. Check it out. So he did. He gets his sack and he runs around behind the school and he opens it up. Thought it was something really good in there, and he opened it up. It was 2 brickbats and hickory nut.
Oh, well.
So he come from a poor family, you know. If he had a hickory nut for lunch, you know.
Yeah, you bet. That's that is pretty tough,
yeah,
you know. But there were, hard to believe today, but there were folks in that position.
Well, you know, back then, you know, kids bring their lunch to school. You had a big old biscuit with jelly in it, or maybe if it was hog killing time, you might have a piece of ham or a sausage patty or something in it, you know. But it wasn't that much back then. Times were hard, you know.
You know, and I can remember. I mean, and you're I guess 15 years older than I am, 64. Yeah. I can remember going with my grandparents killing a hog. We did every November, go butcher a hog, and to me, you know, that was really something. That was scrapping pecans and
that's right.
and going to a hog killing.
We always. My parents, I was small, but they would kill hogs and smoke the meat. And
I can remember my grandparents had a salt box on the back porch,
right,
and they would salt that stuff down, you know, and just
salt
you're not refrigerating that.
Hams and the shoulders, you'd salt them down for so long, take them out and wash them, hang them in the smokehouse, and they'd have an old tub or something in there with sitting on bricks, and you'd put hickory in there and let it smoke, you know, and smoke that meat.
Boy, oh boy. Yeah. All right, so you get through the 6th grade, I guess, at Patterson.
No, fourth grade.
Fourth grade, yeah.
Fourth grade,
right.
And I started to McCrory in the 5th grade.
Okay.
And I went to finish school there in 53.
1953. What happens to Bob McCollum after getting out of high school in 1953?
Started to work. I met my wife, and we got married in February of 57. And then I started to barber school in 59.
What'd you do from 53
to
59?
Okay, 50. After I got out of high school, I worked at the cotton gin one year, and then I worked for the Soil Conservation Service here at Newport for a couple of years.
Not many folks know that.
Lyle Bobeck was the office manager. Jeff Ellis followed him.
Mm-hmm.
Fred Williams worked there, Vaughn McCartney, and I worked with Vaughn mostly. And then Peg and I moved to Batesville. Arkansas Poultry was putting in a processing plant up there, a chicken processing plant, and they needed ice to cool the stuff down and all that. And so I went to Batesville and helped build an ice plant, and then worked there for a while, and then I started barber school in 59.
What gave you the idea, the impetus to want to go to barber school?
Well, it's funny, I kind of stumbled up on this. Peggy had 2 younger brothers, and we were at her mother and daddy's house one night, and the oldest brother was wanting to come to town and get a haircut. And they said, "No, we're not going. It's too late. We're not going." And her daddy had an old pair of hand clippers. And I said, "Get in there, boy. I'll cut your hair."
Oh, I've heard this before. Everybody's got one in the family. Let me tell you what.
He had enough nerve that he got in there, and I cut his hair, and done a fairly decent job. Of course, my daddy cut our hair and neighbor's hair and his brothers and all when I was just a kid. And my granddaddy, my mother's dad, was a barber before they had to have a barber license. He'd farm all week and barber on Saturday. So it was kind of, I guess, bred into me. And I got to cutting those boys' hair, and I thought, well, you know, let's go to barber school. So I started barber school in 59.
So Peggy is all for this?
She was all for it, yeah. Peggy was
get you a steady job and stick with it.
That's right, stick with it, yeah. Peggy was working at the ASCS office.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Madison was manager of that office, and she worked there and sent me to barber school. And when I got out of barber school, I started working at McCrory. That's where, you know, I went to school down there and knew everybody. And I thought, boy, this is it, you know.
How long does a guy go to barber school, or in those days?
I think it's the same now. It was 9 months. Had to have 1,500 hours. And then when you get out, excuse me, you have to serve an 18-month apprenticeship. Then you go back and take the state board again and get your registered license.
Wow, that's
It
not
stretches
just
out
everybody
pretty
walks
good.
in off the street and says, I'm going to start
right,
cutting
yeah,
hair.
That's right, yeah. But I went to work at McCrory, and I worked down there a month. And I know one day I drove from Newport to McCrory. I cut 3 head of hair. I made $3. The time I bought my lunch and my gas, I come out in the hole that day. And
I said, I don't know, working for somebody else, at least I get a check.
But Bill Duncan had a barbershop on Walnut Street.
Remember it quite well.
Bill was mayor of Newport at that time. And
1959, 60.
It was it was, and he had 2 barbers working there. Bobby Barber was working there. He lived out in Oil Trough. There was an older fellow there, barber named Walter Poteet. And he left and went to Pocahontas, I think, and Ed Madison told me about it, so I come and talked to Bill, and so I went to work there in May of 1960. And I worked with Bill there for about 5 years, and at that time, barbershops closed on Wednesdays. Mm-hmm. And so I put me in a little barbershop over at Fisher, Arkansas. And I worked over there from about 62 or 3 till about 70 on Wednesdays.
Just on Wednesdays?
Just on Wednesdays, yeah. Made a lot of friends over there. I met a lot of people.
Well, I guess you could about take care of the business in one day.
People knew that you were going to be there, and I know some of them tell me, well, Barber, I was in Jonesboro yesterday, or I was in Harrisburg, and I said, I got a haircut, so I just saved it for you. and I still have a customer, too, from Fisher, comes over here and gets a haircut.
Isn't that great? That is fantastic.
Then I went out to East Newport, and
Carl
Hager.
You're talking my language now.
Yeah. Carl Hager had a shop in the front of the little building where Henry Arnett had an insurance office.
Right next to Buddy Black's tire store.
Buddy Black's tire store was right across the street. Where Hardy's is now. Yeah. And we worked there.
That's where I met you, I think.
Yeah. Worked there for a while, and then we moved back a block back in Ivy's building. And we were there for, I don't know how many years, a couple of years or 3 or something like that. And in 1970, Carl run for sheriff, and I bought the shop downtown where I am now.
Okay.
And been there ever since, yeah.
We're going to take a quick break. We all right on time? We're just about, all right, we'll have these messages and have an interesting visit with Bob the Barber, as I call him, my friend, many, many years, Bob McCollum. We'll be right back.
Jackson's Funeral Home and the Jackson family have been serving our friends and neighbors in Jackson County during some of the most difficult times of their lives for nearly 60 years. As the 3rd generation of this family to own and operate Jackson's Funeral Homes, Jan, Rhett, and Jerry consider it the highest honor to be chosen to care for you and your family during times of need. We believe the highest standard of care is achieved when people are given the tools needed to make the most informed decision for the benefit of their family. For us, there's no greater honor than to care for our friends and our neighbors in their time of need. The Jackson's Funeral Homes, the 1900 block of Malcolm Avenue in Newport, phone number 870-523-5822.
You're watching Remember When here on Cable 15 TV, and again, I want to talk about our websites, and we have so many people that watch us on Facebook and YouTube and cable15tv.com. It's amazing the growth we've had on the website and those things. There's a lot of folks that don't have cable or used to have cable, don't have it anymore, have gone over to those sources, and we appreciate them all. And it's a big number, a growing number of folks who watch us over there. We're certainly glad to have you. Bob McCollum, a longtime barber here in Northeast Arkansas, is our guest. Bob's already mentioned he was born in Cabot, grew up in Woodruff County, and then got to barbering after having a couple of other jobs here in Newport and Batesville. Got that one gig over at Fisher, and like you say, then come to Newport to do it, on a continuing full-time basis, but your own shop.
On top. Been there about 40-something years. Yeah.
Now that was Now, was this a big step? I mean, for you? You
Well,
had
no,
we're going into
no,
technically or for ourselves, or
it was when I bought the shop. I was by myself, my shop, and I had been there about a month or two, and I had more business than I could take care of by myself. I was losing business.
right?
And Leroy Addington had come to Newport, and he had a little shop up on Front Street, and I got him to come to work for me. And Leroy worked there from 70 to 75, and he went to Louisiana, and he farmed a couple of years, and then he put in a shop, and he cut hair across from the LSU campus. He was there, I think, 12 years. And then he went to St. Louis and barbered up there for about 23 years, I think. And he's back down here now. But I'm still there. And like I say, it'd be 55 years the last of March next year. And
That's a pretty good time to stand on your feet and cut hair.
That's a long time.
All day long.
All day, yeah. And there's a young man in Newport that's going to barber school now, and he's going to be coming back here, and we'll be working together some here, probably about February of next year.
Excellent.
Mark McGee. Do you know Mark McGee? His wife Libby has an insurance agency
Absolutely.
here.
Absolutely.
Mark's a fine young man, and he wants to come back to Newport, cut hair, and so I think that'll be a good place for him to land.
I think that's an excellent decision on your part.
It's just really I think a good deal for both of us, really.
I always jot down some notes and stuff, and I put on here types of haircuts down through the years.
Okay. When I started, flat tops was the deal.
Oh man,
short haircuts.
Butch wax.
Oh yeah.
Orange stuff. Remember that?
Oh yeah, and it's
get you a jar of that orange paraffin.
Lucky Tiger Butch wax.
Look at these kids over here. Ben and Ben over here. They don't know what we're talking about. They're just watching the show.
It was short haircuts. Even the men's haircuts. It wasn't a flat top or a butch or something. Kept it cut short. And back then, everybody got a haircut every other week. And now they'll go 4, 5, 6 weeks. But it went from short haircuts, flat tops and stuff, to the long hair. You remember in
the Beatles?
The Beatles.
When Beatles was in 1963, late 63.
Late 60s and into the 70s, and...
got the hippies after that.
Oh, yeah, and long hair, everybody with hair down over the ears, and all that. And now
Beatle haircut, when it came out, and hey, Bob, you look at it now, it's short.
Yeah.
The Beatle haircuts are short, but back then, parents were rolling over. They were going crazy. They're saying, no, you'll never get a haircut like that.
Yeah.
And you look at it now, and I say, man, that is such a short haircut, but it was so long compared to a flat top.
Back when they started wearing that hair real long, Mr. Mullins was the superintendent here. And Walter Bellingraf was trying to wear his hair long.
This is a great story. I've heard this.
Mr. Mullins would send him to the barber shop, make him get a haircut. They stayed into it all the time. And he called him into his office one day and told him, you're going to have to get a haircut. Walter told him, he said, well, Jesus Christ wore his hair long. He looked in, he said, yeah, and he said he could walk on water. He said, if you go out there and walk across Newport Lake, you can wear it as long as you want to.
Mr. Mullins had a way of getting his point across.
He could get his point across.
That I've heard that story before.
Anyway, we've gone from long hair like that back to, short haircuts. And a lot of people shaving their head now. Yep. In fact, I shave some people's heads for them,
we went through this period where all of a sudden barbers almost became, quote, obsolete. It was stylish. You had to be a stylist. It was hard to find in a lot of small towns a good barber.
This was in the early 70s when they got to wearing their hair so long and going between haircuts, and a lot of barbers went out of business. And Leroy was working with me at the time, and we took a course in hairstyling. Roffler. There's a fellow in George Satterfield, I believe is his name. He was with Roffler and had a shop in Little Rock, and he come up one weekend and we had all of our people lined up to come in for us to work on, and he'd teach us how to style hair, and that and selling Roffler products kept us going, got us over the hump, and we made it fine.
Yeah, it's but as you say, so many guys did not make it. But you take the money and the time and the effort put into it, and all of a sudden, based on a social change, a social style, you know, you're out the front door. It reminds me so much today of what technology has done. I mean, we're in love with technology, and we want things to be bigger, better, faster, quicker, more efficient. And in doing so, we don't think about the jobs we're losing, the jobs, and we wonder, well, how come there are so many unemployed now? You know, they say, well, you've got to be technologically advanced to get a job and keep up. And I like technology, and I like the ease of things, but sometimes
you lose jobs.
And there is nothing more Americana than walking into a barbershop for guys especially and getting a haircut.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, you know, first off, if you want to know what's going on in a community, you better go to the barber shop.
That's right.
It's not the coffee shop, guys. It's the barber shop.
That's the center of information.
You're the first to know. Let me tell you. You are the first guy to know what's going on.
Absolutely. And beauty shops, same way for the ladies, you know.
No doubt.
And,
no doubt.
That's where it all takes place.
That's where the stories, I guess we could say the gossip, but that's where the story, because usually intertwined and somewhere inside the gossip are the true facts back in there somewhere.
Absolutely.
So where there's smoke, there's a little fire. Long time doing this. Do you ever think about just saying I've had enough and that's it?
Well, I'm, you know, like I say, I've got almost 55 years in, and standing on concrete, my old feet and legs wearing out, and I'm getting some arthritis in my hands. So,
but good Lord, you're 79 years old. You know, you're supposed to be getting, but you're an awfully young 79-year-old man. So I know it may have hurt you, but it has kept you young.
It kept me going, and it's I wouldn't take nothing for it because I've met a lot of interesting people, you know, and you learn something from just about everybody you talk to. Some of it might not be very beneficial, but you'll learn something, you know. But anyway, when Mark gets here, I'm probably going to slow down a little bit, you know.
Well, now you're kind of slowed back just a little bit. I have
backed off a little bit. Yeah, I do 4 days a week, and
instead of 6.
Now, and if I'm not very busy and the phone's not ringing, I'll slip on and go home 2:30, 3 o'clock.
And you know, in the old days, it was 6 pretty good hard days, and especially Fridays and Saturdays. When barbers would go from 6 in the morning, sometimes till 9 o'clock at night on Saturday.
When I started out at McCrory, we opened at 7 o'clock and closed at 6 o'clock. That's 5 days a week. And Saturday, you didn't even lock the door till 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
And then you had to work out what was in there. It might be 10:30, 11, whatever, before you ever got out of there.
Because people came to town on Saturday.
That was their day to come to town. They'd buy groceries, they'd get haircuts, they'd just, you know, whatever. And maybe stay for the late movie or something. And
you're not like now. You didn't stop by the grocery store on your way home and get something for supper.
Absolutely.
You know, you went and bought a bill of groceries. It's called.
You'd go once a week, buy your groceries.
And everybody, the farmers, everybody lived out on the farm, and there were thousands of folks. All came to town.
About every little 40 acres would be a house on it, and be somebody farming. You know?
And you go in a barber shop, and there'd be 3 chairs there, 3 guys working, and a lot of places. And people absolutely lined up every chair, you know, waiting.
They'd just be lined up there, you know, and you just work. Yeah.
In the heyday.
Yeah, that was.
Of course, I guess it was a heyday looking back in a lot of things, you know.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah.
I can remember my grandparents and I did spend a lot of time with my grandparents. How are we doing, Ben? Got another 2 or 3 minutes? Okay. Going to N.A. Gillahan's grocery store every Saturday.
Yeah.
Every Saturday. And they said, Bud, what do you remember about it? I said, I'll never forget the butcher paper, the white paper.
White butcher paper,
You looked in the meat case, and there was the dressed chicken in there. There were the pork chops laid out. They weren't wrapped up in a package. No. And they were there. And you said, I'll take about 4 of those chops, please. And they took them and wrapped them into white paper and taped it up and marked the price on it.
That's right.
Weighed it, marked the price on it.
Yeah.
You know?
Or if you wanted a beef roast or a pork roast or something, they would take a knife and cut it off, whatever size you wanted. Wrap it up, and that's it.
It's a little different.
If you bought a whole chicken, you could get it whole, or if you want it cut up, it was amazing how fast they could cut up a chicken.
Right.
Before you could bat your eyes twice, they had the chicken cut up. You know,
NEC, no extra charge to cut it up.
Absolutely.
Now you don't want to cut up, it's twice the money. The chicken doesn't cost anything, it's the labor to cut it up.
That's right.
Oh gosh, my health. We're going to talk about some more stories, some good stories, some of the best stories and the best storytellers. I think it'll be a highlight of the program. And we'll take this break, and we'll be right back. More with Bob McCollum on Remember When. You're watching Remember When here on Cable 15 TV with Bob McCollum, a long-time Northeast Arkansas barber and a fellow who has heard every story and was first in line to get all the information before disseminating it to the public. I like to ask folks where you were. Do you remember Pearl Harbor? You must be 5-6 years old.
I don't really remember.
Okay, 1941.
I don't remember that much about that. No.
Yeah. It's most folks get on up into the 8-9 year bracket before they start remembering things. You were working out on the Friday, about this time of year when we filmed. We filmed in late November, around Thanksgiving. November 22nd, 1963, and Kennedy got assassinated. John Kennedy in Dallas.
Yeah. Remember that? I was working that day. And then on a Sunday, we had come in from church and turned the TV on, and the news was that Jack Ruby, I believe, had shot Oswald, killed him, and that was the news.
I think to this date, still the only, and I may be wrong, but the last time I saw it, the only live murder. The only murder ever committed on live television.
Television, yeah.
And that was one of the reasons they started putting in the delays on even the live telecast and things, 7-second delay, because it was a live television shot.
Best I can remember, they were bringing Oswald out through an alleyway or something, wasn't it? And Jack Ruby stepped out and shot him.
They were in the basement of the police department.
Right,
that was, and I did not see that. But of course, immediately after it happened, everybody was calling everybody and saying, "You got to turn this on." They started showing the tape of it, and the famous shot of Ruby putting the gun in his stomach. You young people didn't live through that history, and I know the generation before me and just ahead of you, it was Pearl Harbor.
Right,
for us, it was the Kennedy assassination. For some of the younger kids, it was the space shuttle, one of two, the first, blowing up, things like that. But the Kennedy assassination was so riveting because they had the state funeral and all of that stuff was on live television for days to follow after that. And, I missed the Robert Kennedy assassination also. I had sat up and watched the California primary that night, June of '68. And because I just a raw 18-year-old kid, and I was a Kennedy supporter. And he came out and gave a speech. It's on to Chicago. Let's win there. And I turned the thing off. Well, 30 seconds later is when the incident happened. He got shot. But those are some days I like to ask folks about. Famous days in American history, or just tell me about a story or two. Who are some of the best storytellers, or some of the things you've heard all your years?
Well, there's a lot of them wouldn't do to tell.
I started to say they've got to realize now it's a family program, sir.
I don't know, but it's a lot of the old timers here. Some of the old sayings that they had, they won't do to repeat.
Right.
But I don't know.
Yeah, the language has changed.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh my goodness, has the language changed over 55 years?
But we've had some characters in Newport over the years. Some of the, I guess you'd call them the town drunks. And some of them were pretty sharp guys, really.
Yeah.
And But
Yeah, and back in those days, we just said it was the town drunk, and today we realize it's quite a disease. Alcoholism,
it was. It was disease.
Yeah,
But you know, they were nice guys.
Oh, sure.
And some of them were fairly intelligent people too. You know, and they wasn't just a dummy.
Yeah, and of course, most of us who got haircuts, you know, are just old average Joes, you know, working for a living.
Absolutely. But they would, back then, they might come by the barbershop and not get a haircut, but they may sit there and visit for an hour or two, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And of course now everybody's in a hurry, you know, and I work by appointments, and people come in, get their haircut, and they're gone, you know. And very seldom you have anybody, you know, 3 or 4 people sitting around talking, you know. Used to, they just come in, sit down. Back then, you could smoke in a shop or wherever you want to, and they'd come in, sit there and smoke cigarettes and talk for an hour or two, you know.
I don't understand the dichotomy, the difference here, the irony of we have more technology advances to make things easier for us and quicker, and we have less time than ever before. You would think that we'd have all the time in the world. I mean, you don't have to call anybody. You can text them.
It's rush now. People used to just didn't get in a hurry, I don't think, you know. They just had time for people, and now everybody's in a hurry. And just
what I love about the barber shop, it's one of the few places left you can go and have conversation.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
And I have made a living all my life through conversation.
Yeah.
And still doing it.
Yeah.
And it's a lost art.
Yeah.
Honest to goodness, it happened this morning. I saw it again. I saw 2 young people, 24, 25 years old. Not exactly kids, but, you know, young adults, sitting across from one another, giving it this.
Yeah.
And I just butted in.
Yeah.
I said, "Are y'all texting one another?" Mm-hmm. "Why don't you just talk?" "Oh, if we have anything to talk about, we'll talk." I said, "Well, what are you texting?" "Oh, just stuff."
Yeah.
And it's none of my business, and I'm sorry. They said, I had some people the other day say, "Bud, why does that bother you?" I said, "It's just technology."
Yeah.
It bothers me because I've made a living all my life with conversation, and I like to listen and learn. I like to talk. You know, it doesn't happen much anymore.
You know what gets me is people going down the road, driving and doing that. You know.
Yeah, and that's dangerous.
And that's very dangerous. Very dangerous. You know.
You know, I grew up where on a weekend, my parents at their house, there would be 15 other couples.
Oh yeah.
Come to play cards. Sit there and play cards for not for money, but you know, just to fiddle around and play cards. Have something to do.
When our kids were small, there was another couple here in Newport that had children same age of ours, and we got together every Saturday night and played dominoes. Mm-hmm. The kids would get back and play and do whatever they was going to do, and we'd play dominoes. You know.
We used to load up, and there would be 15, 20 families go to, before we had Greer's Ferry, go to Lake Norfolk.
Yeah, right, yeah.
You know, it didn't cost a lot of money to go, you know, and I think out of all those 15, 20 families, like 2 or 3 of them had boats. We'd all share the boat and ski.
Well, we, as a kid growing up, we would, in the fall of the year, we would take a picnic lunch and go to the woods somewhere, like Horseshoe Lake down south of Augusta in that area, a lot of wild pecan trees, and have a picnic lunch and pick up pecans to have to make, the ladies, my mothers make cakes, candy, whatever, you know. And it was just it was a fun thing, you know. You was with people.
I enjoyed, and some people will say, man, that was work. I loved going to the pecan woods.
Yeah,
when I was a kid. My grandfather, and y'all have heard me talk about Mr. Charlie Gist before, crippled man, had polio at birth, right early, and really had one severely hampered leg and walked with a terrible limp. You remember Mr. Gist, Mr. Charlie, and he could climb those pecan trees. He had all that equipment.
Yeah.
And take those frailing poles.
Yeah.
Now today they've got machines on tractor to go up there and shake
tree.
them. You know? Yeah. But he would hit that tree limb and those pecans come down. And my grandmother and I would then sit there and they're called scrap pecans. scrap them, pick them up off the ground,
Yeah.
you know, and load them up. Take them up to the man that owned the pecan orchard, split them with him 50-50.
Yeah, 50-50.
And then you could sell him your half if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, man, I walked out a lot of times $5, $6, $7.
That's a lot of money back then.
I thought I was something. I tell you what, I thought I was. You know, And my grandmother, I hate to admit this, I hate liver. I hate liver. And the reason why, when I was a kid, she would make us liver cheese sandwich. They had liver cheese back then. It's a lunch meat. Liver cheese sandwich. Yeah. And we'd sit underneath those, you mentioned, sit underneath those pecan trees, and we weren't picking pecans up, take a break and have lunch. Now that is so romantic. That is so Americana. And just
one of the fellas that would go with us worked for Woodruff County Electric, and back then they had these hooks that they climbed all the poles. Back then, didn't have the buckets, you know, and he would take those pole climbers put on. He would climb those trees and get up there and stomp those limbs and shake it, you know, and shake pecans down. And it's a big deal.
Oh my goodness! People ask me, said, "But I don't believe that all this stuff happened to you." I said, "Folks, I picked muscadines, I picked blackberries out in the woods."
You bet.
It just
you go pick those blackberries. They'd take a little can of kerosene and rags, and they would wet them and tie them around your ankles and your wrists to keep the chiggers off. And I used to hate to pick blackberries.
Let me tell you what broke me from picking blackberries. My grandmother and I once were in a blackberry patch up on Union Hill somewhere down here, you know, start of the Ozarks, and there was a blackberry on the other end of that patch. And it came down to she and I or him having that patch. We gladly gave the patch to the blackberry.
Absolutely.
You're right. I just kind of broke me from picking blackberries. I was too scared every time I went back. You know, I was kind of looking for those bears.
It's kind of like the two guys in the woods, and they run up on the bear, and this one says to the other, he said, "Man, you reckon reach down and run that bear?" And he said, "I don't know. I'm just going to outrun you."
But it was a great time around here, and I know, like I say, you've met so many people down through the years, and you know, it hurts my feelings. I talked the other day about I know more people in heaven than I know on the planet. Well, that's the good fortune of having lived to be this old and everything. And there's Peg. Boy,
Yes,
I tell you
sir.
what.
Yes, sir. She
Putting up with you.
Yeah, she ought to have stars in her crown for putting up with me.
Well, she will.
And I told her one time, I said, "You know, I'm dead and gone. You can find you a young man." She said, "I've done raised two boys. I don't raise another."
We're going to talk about
Rob kept her on her toes.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about family and coming up here as we wrap it up. We're visiting with Bob McCollum on Remember When.
Jackson's Funeral Home and the Jackson family have been serving our friends and neighbors in Jackson County during some of the most difficult times of their lives for nearly 60 years. As the third generation of this family to own and operate Jackson's Funeral Homes, Jan, Rhett, and Jerry consider it the highest honor to be chosen to care for you and your family during times of need. We believe the highest standard of care is achieved when people are given the tools needed to make the most informed decision for the benefit of their family. For us, there's no greater honor than to care for our friends and our neighbors in their time of need. The Jackson's Funeral Homes, the 1900 block of Malcolm Avenue in Newport, phone number 870-523-5822.
Our final segment of our program with Bob McCollum here on Remember When. And again, thanks for watching us on Facebook and YouTube and our website at cable15tv.com. I know that a lot of people are changing the way they watch television and things, so you can get us also at cable15tv.com or Google Cable 15 TV. And all our programs that we have, these and our broadcast of football games and our business spotlight. And got a lot of great things going on, and we're working with Brad Smithy, who takes care of our internet for us and does a great job, and we appreciate him. And like I say, a lot of folks all over. It doesn't have to just be now in Newport, Jackson County. Folks can get on that web and That's something I've come to late in life is the internet, but I am shocked at the number of people my age and older who are using the internet. You know? It just, I never thought it would happen, but hey, it has.
Oh yeah, it's. I know Peggy. She plays with a computer, or iPad all the time. It's amazing what you can find out with one of those things. I mean, you can pull up anything you want.
It's
and anyway, but whether to when the Razorbacks are going to play or whatever, you know, and
the streaming video and the things that are available. I myself, I find myself spending several hours a week. I like to read about St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, yeah.
Our website, by the way, is linked to the Cardinal website, and I read the St. Louis newspaper on the website.
Yeah.
About the Cardinals. You know?
Our daughter Beth, I know you know her. She lives in Houston, and she's on a computer all the time. And I was telling her about doing this interview, and she said, "Oh yeah," I said, "I remember the interview that they done with Wardell Pennington, and she got it on a computer. I don't know, she pulled it up somewhere. I don't know how she did it,
probably just on the web, just Facebook.
So it's just amazing, you know.
Yeah, the reach that it has.
I mean, she was in Houston at a meeting. She was seeing the interview of Wardell here, you know, and so it's just unbelievable.
It is. All right, so Beth's in Houston.
She's in Houston.
And by the way, we're taping right before Thanksgiving. She's home for
She's
the
home
holiday.
for Thanksgiving, yes.
I'd tell her
she's
I said hello, and I'm sure she'll see this.
Yeah.
Hi, Beth.
And Rob lives in Paragould, and he is a grandpa now. And we're great-grandparents. We have a great-granddaughter that's about 5.5, and a great-grandson that's about 1.5 years. And we're pretty proud of those.
I guess so. Now, your kid's a little younger than I am, but because I have brothers their age, I spent a lot of time in some of the same circles as Rob and Beth did.
Absolutely,
Rob was always what I call gregarious, outgoing like me, and Beth was. I couldn't get her to say 2 words.
She was always the quiet one, and Rob, you couldn't get him shut up. But
and Rob was a superb athlete.
He was quite the baseball player. He was recruited by the Kansas City Royals, and he chose to go to college, and so the scout for Kansas City told them the coaches at Murray, Kentucky about him, and they were looking for a shortstop. And so they come watched him play and gave him a 4-year scholarship. He went over and played the fall semester, and they opened their season up in Hawaii. He went to Hawaii, and they played over there and come back, and he quit school and come home, got married.
That happens to a lot of folks.
It happens to a lot of people. But he and his wife raised 3 girls. And, of course, he's divorced now, but I admire them. They stayed together and raised their girls and educated them.
Good.
The oldest granddaughter is married now. She has the 2 children, and she made an attorney. She's an attorney for Arkansas State University. The middle granddaughter is a veterinarian. She's practicing in Jonesboro. And the youngest granddaughter went back and got her master's, and I don't know for sure what she's doing, some kind of counseling or something or other. I don't know. I can't keep up with them. I'm too old, bud.
And I'm still talking, and you're still cutting hair. And now everybody else is a vet or a scientist or an attorney.
And I'm still cutting hair, But Peggy retired several years back, and she's enjoying the heck out of that. And she wants me to, but I just...
And she spent so many years at the Chevrolet place.
Chevrolet place, She spent a lot of time at Chevrolet place, and she made a lot of friends there. And
I don't know anybody other than you 2 folks who have met as many people, who have made as many contacts, as many acquaintances and friends.
Absolutely,
because of the nature and because of the kind of people that you are. And I know the community is blessed to have had you in it.
Well, we have been blessed to be here. We've been here a long time, raised our family here, and I love Newport, and she does too. And It just we've just been blessed, you know. We've had some health problems, but I mean, you know, we're 79 and 77, and we're still going, you know, and that's something to be thankful for.
I run into quite a few folks, you know, who just have had. Dave and I talk about this all the time because we're in that group that had lots of chances to leave and go at the time. It looked like a better opportunity, and I turned down an opportunity. People say you're nuts. I did turn down when I was a kid an opportunity to get into both the Detroit Tiger and the St. Louis Cardinal broadcast system in the minor leagues, and didn't want to do that because it entailed leaving Newport. And I went to school at Arkansas State, and that's about as far away as I ever wanted to get. And I just, you know, boy, everybody talks about the problems we have in Newport, Arkansas, and I can certainly see that. But boy, I see the assets that we have, and it starts with our people.
That's right. It's some of the nicest people in the world live in Newport, Arkansas, I think. And you know, talk about the baseball thing. We have a man from Newport is with the Kansas City Royals. Don Free. You remember Don Free?
Yes.
He's in, I guess it's something to do with the broadcasting, I don't know. But he's been with them for several years now.
Okay.
And
I'm glad you didn't move. I'm glad you stayed there.
I don't want to, they have to bury me here.
It has been a fun time, a fun visit. We always enjoy ourselves here. Bob, I thank you for taking the time out.
I appreciate you asking me.
I know you are busy. I knew people would be interested in finding out more about Bob McCollum. And if he hasn't cut your hair, then maybe it's time. You know, you better hurry because you know
be wore out.
Right. You may not be there much longer. Health is on the way. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, bud.
I
appreciate
it. Bob McCollum here on Remember When. We thank our sponsors and we thank all of you for watching. And join us next time for another edition of Remember When.